In this video, I'll be going over fuel management for the Fw-190 A-8. So there's two fuel tanks inside, a front tank and a back tank, and you can see how much gas you have by looking at this gauge. So what you do is if you want to look at how much gas is in your front tank, you have this yellow switch, you put it to the left where it says VORN, and then you look at the bottom section of the gauge here. And if you want to know how much fuel's in the back tank, you move this yellow switch to the back where it says Hinter, and then you look at the top section of the gauge. By the way, there are two lights here next to the fuel selector gauge. The top one will illuminate when the front tank's almost empty, and the bottom one for the back tank. The fuel control lever is here, so if it's at the bottom, ZOO, that turns the fuel off. If it's on the top, off, that turns on the front and the back tank. Then there are these two middle positions. So the top position, right under off, will turn the front tank off, so it'll only draw fuel from the back tank. And the bottom position is the opposite. In the bottom position, it'll turn the back tank off and it'll only draw fuel from the front tank. I'd recommend always leaving it in the top off position. So now let's go over the pumps. So there's these circuit breakers here, and you can see the second one and the third one are the fuel pumps for the front and back tank, so always make sure those are on. Alright, so now I'll go over the auxiliary fuel tank. So the auxiliary fuel tank is an extra tank it has that you can put fuel in. I'll show you how to put fuel in it later, but basically if you have an auxiliary tank equipped, then what you need to do is come here and turn on this back circuit breaker. Alright, so to equip fuel in the auxiliary tank, you go to the mission editor and you click on your plane, and you click this blue button with the three dots, and you can see the fuel tank contents. You click additional fuel. So the last thing to go over is external fuel tanks. So to load an external tank on, you click the / button on your keyboard. Then you click F8 for ground crew, and then rearm and refuel. So on this plane, you can only put an external tank in the middle. So you right click and go to fuel tanks and click 300 liter tank.
Request rearming. Copy.
So the external tank will naturally feed into the rear tank. But the thing is that you want to drain out the external tank first, because if you get into combat, you want to be able to drop it to make your plane lighter. So when you got your external tank equipped, well, first of all, you got to come over here and turn on the circuit breaker for it. Drop tank fuel pump. And then the thing is, what you want to do is you want to come to this lever and you want to push it down, and like I mentioned earlier, that will turn the front tank off and it will only draw fuel from the back tank. So since the external tank puts fuel into the rear tank, what that's going to do is it's going to draw all the fuel from the external tank first. Now you might be wondering, how do I know when the external tank's empty? Well, the way you know is by looking at the gauge for the back tank. So you're going to come here and put the yellow switch to the back tank. And once this gauge is less than 240, that means the external tank is empty. And you can switch this red lever back up to normal. If you want to drop your external tank, you pull this lever here that says Bomben, you pull it back, and you can see the external tank is gone. And also make sure, if you're not using it anymore, to turn the circuit breaker off. Thanks for checking out this video, and I'll see you later.